Hey, greetings, welcome. Many of you have asked or wonder about Jeaneth and I and how we met and how Jeaneth climbed to the top of the South American women's bodybuilding scene and the secrets to her success. So I'm here to here to answer some of those questions today, as well as let you in on some other juicy bits of gossip that many of you have either asked or wanted to ask. Well, the first one is how we met, and that's everybody has an interesting story about how'd you guys meet, how'd you get married, blah blah. And ours is, I guess, fairly unique, interesting, whatever. I actually dated Jeanette's cousin, and it only lasted 3 or 4 months and didn't work out. But during that period of time, she had mentioned that she had a cousin back in Peru who was a world-class bodybuilder. And so I added her on Facebook, and all we did was like each other's messages and stuff. But then once it didn't work out, there was a point where we talked a couple times, nothing serious, and just continued to like each other's posts. And then one day she messaged me and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about opening up an office in the U.S. and I'm going to come up and make some connections for my supplements and clothing and things. And would you like to meet?" And so I'm thinking, oh, this is business, and it might be a chance to do a joint venture with somebody. So she came up. I believe it was early in the year. I can't remember whether it was May or June, but anyway, she came up and we spent 2 weeks together. I helped her down in Miami make some connections. And the problem, or I guess the challenge or whatever, was we really clicked. She's an entrepreneur, so am I. I've lived my whole life studying success, trying to achieve, maximum performance myself, both in sports and my businesses, and also coaching others. I was a personal trainer and owned gyms, turned around gyms for many years, and now I'm a real estate broker. But we just, everything about it clicked. We love to train, we love competition, and we love the process of training. That's the difference. As many people are just born, if you're an elite athlete and you have perfect genetics, you don't necessarily like to train. You just like to win. You like to compete. And neither Jeaneth nor I had perfect genetics, but we've taken our genetics as far as we could. I made it to the state level, never made national caliber. Jeaneth obviously made international caliber. So we had all that stuff in common. So it was just, at the end of the 2 weeks, we're like, well, what do we do now? And so we scheduled another time. Actually, she came back for my birthday in September. Spent almost a month. And at the end of that time, then it was really a problem, because we're like, hey, we'd really like to spend our lives together, but we've only known each other for less than a year. So we scheduled another trip up, and that was in January. And same thing, it's just, I don't want to sound cheesy, about soulmates and everything, but not that we didn't have our issues, but we had this, just everything kind of clicked. So we spent 30 days in January together, and at the end of that time, we were like, now what do we do? And so I had no plans to get married. I had two, I'd had plenty of good relationships. I had 2 long-term relationships in my 40s and early 50s that didn't work out. One was 6 years, one was 7, I believe. And I just kind of assumed I'm not going to get married. I'm either too hard to live with or whatever, but I was happy on my own, doing my businesses, and so I didn't plan on getting married, but that was the choice we had if we were going to spend time together. So we were married in Enterprise, or Deltona, up right north of Orlando. That's my brother-in-law on the left, and my sister in the middle, and then the Justice of the Peace. And that's its own story. We we were married. My brother-in-law runs a chili cook-off every year, and we were married at a chili cook-off up in Enterprise. So anyway, the first year was an adjustment, to say the least. Jeaneth mainly spoke Spanish. I picked up Spanglish very quickly, so we communicated in Spanglish. However, Jeaneth was having trouble picking up English. So after the first year, one of our big things was she spending more and more time trying to learn English. And it's been a challenge, because whereas I picked it up quickly, she did not pick it up quickly. And so that's one of the main challenges we face, is a communication issue. However, it's more of a problem with the ongoing thing with breaking into the U.S. market and the English-speaking market. She already immediately broke into the Latino market, obviously. So that's been a challenge. And the other challenge is we're both entrepreneurs, and we both feel like we know the right way to do things. And so we butt heads sometimes on that, because two two alphas don't necessarily always see eye to eye. So those are challenges we usually run into. Um, Everybody asks about, how did Jeaneth grow up? What was the deal with that growing up in Peru? And it's funny because that's where a lot of my respect and some of the things we click on. She had a tough life. She didn't have it easy. Peru, she wasn't born into money, and her parents were working class. And to top it off, her dad, who was military Navy in Peru, he was killed in a terrorist attack when she was like 5 or 6 years old. So she grew up without a father. Her mother remarried, but it's just never the same with a stepfather. And she missed her father and missed the, I guess she really, really, respected him and so she missed him. To top it off, she was a rebellious child. She was the top athlete in her class, female athlete, maybe even top athlete, and also the smartest, the best student in her class. Always. So that combination, she was always getting in trouble with her mom or her grandmother because she would sneak out and play soccer with the boys or other sports, and they said, you can't do that. So she was always getting in trouble for different things. And to top it off, as she got older, her family didn't have money, so she actually was offered a scholarship overseas and decided to do her college locally in Peru. And she swam for the college swim team. She was the best on the swim team, probably national caliber, I would have to assume. Didn't make the Olympic tryouts because I'm not even sure what Peru has in terms of swimming. But she had to put herself through college, even with a scholarship. She had to work 2 and 3 jobs. So it wasn't easy for her. I thought I had a hard life, but my life was pretty simple compared to hers. So she graduates with a degree in physical education and sport and started teaching. And obviously she was done with swimming, so she wanted to do something different in sports. So she tried all these different sports, wrestling, boxing, and finally somebody told her, hey, why don't you try working out in the gym and sculpting your body. Now, according to Jeaneth, she has kind of the typical Latino or maybe Peruvian body where it's like a Native American where they've got kind of narrow shoulders, not much waist, and no hips, no ass, or wide hips. And so Jeaneth did not have perfect genetics. She had skinny little calves and skinny legs. So she really clicked in the gym. She's like, hey man, this is cool. I'm sculpting my body. And pretty quickly into it, she realized she had some potential. Obviously, she goes at everything 110%. So she tried some figure competitions, did very well, and but then she realized her true passion, her sport, was bodybuilding, women's bodybuilding. And so that culminated, obviously, that story. She was 6 times Peruvian national champion in her class and 2 times South American champion. So, she went to the top of everything she could do in South America. And the other thing about that is, and I just got to say something about this, some of the things that just I respect her so much for. She overcame so much discrimination in Peru, and she says that the Latina men, especially in Peru, very machismo, very macho, and they just couldn't grasp, nor did they like the fact that she was a female bodybuilder. That's a men's sport, and that's why are you looking like a girl? Like a guy. She would literally have guys. She almost got in trouble a couple times for smacking a guy or whatever. A guy would come up and start making fun of her on the street, and say, "You look like a guy," and blah blah. Why are you doing that? And she just faced massive discrimination. It wasn't. It was mean spirited, ugly stuff that you're like, sometimes it happens up here, but very rarely. Most Americans know women's bodybuilding and know that that's their choice to get very muscular, and so there's less of that discrimination, more admiration for female bodybuilders. But down there, she had to overcome. She had to do her own promotions. She had nobody on her side. She had to break into the publicity thing herself, get interviews for. It was just the amount of work she did to promote herself, and finally started her own business, Saskia Sport, to help pay for her competitions. Because it's very expensive to compete in bodybuilding. So she gets up here, and so the first year we worked to establish Saskia Sport in the U.S., and that included visits back to some of she was the only woman chosen to compete in the Arnold Classic up here from Peru. So we went up to the Classic. That's where we started, the Arnold Classic, and we made some contacts back with some people, fellow competitors. That's Jay Cutler, one of the top bodybuilders ever, and Branch Warren. I think he's placed or been Mr. Olympia. So we made those connections, and we'll actually put out another video on how and why we carry the product lines that we do. There's a lot of garbage out there as far as sports supplements and accessories go, and it takes a lot of time to sort through and identify the highest quality and most effective products. We can do it because we've been doing it our whole life. But for somebody like you that's maybe getting into it, or maybe just a novice, you don't even know what to look for. And so we bring you only the top products that we have tried and been successful with. So now I want to leave you with the main reason that we clicked. Jeaneth has 3 qualities that I admire so much and embrace in my life. Number 1, she loves what she does. I'm a firm believer you have to be passionate and love what you do, and if you don't, then do it as a hobby. But enjoy life. Do what you love to do. And she loves helping others like you to achieve your ultimate goals in health and fitness and sports competition. And that's the same thing with me. We love doing that. It's not about the money. The money comes. We don't worry about the money because the money always comes. What we like to do is help people. And then the third thing is she works her butt off. She doesn't sit back and wait for it to happen. So many people sit there, oh, I'd love to compete like you do. Oh, I'd love to sculpt my body. And then they don't do it. She trains like a 20-year-old. In fact, she's stronger in her 40s than most 20-year-olds will ever dream of. So those are the things, those are the reasons why I respect her so much and why we click. But what that means for you is you gain access to that passion, that dedication, experience, and knowledge of a world-class competitor. In this day and age, especially in the U.S., when everything is about the hype, it's all about the sizzle and not the steak. It's nice to know that you can tap into this experience to get the results that you desire and deserve. So, can you achieve your dream? Well, we can't speak for you. We can't. You have to do the work. But I guarantee you, this is Jeaneth when she first started, and she was done as a swimmer. And this is her. This isn't even a competitive shoot. This was a beauty shot. She does obviously professional shoots, and that isn't even when she's the most muscular. That's just just a beauty shoot. So, can you achieve it? Yes, you can with the right coach and mentor.